I have not seen a case so open and shut in my life. And the more that I read and the more details that I get into, I'm just shocked at how many lies were told, okay?
Players in one of the ugliest Hollywood disputes in recent memory faced off in a New York City courtroom today.
I believe that they are going to be able to prove in court that this was personal. Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni, all of the evidence points to that.
Guys, be releasing more documents and text messages?
I assume.
Baldoni is going on the offensive. He just launched a website containing 168 pages of documents and texts.
We're going to move as quickly as we possibly can and prove our innocence, where sometimes people judge you before they give you a chance.
The attorney for Justin Baldoni is just leaving the courthouse, where Blake Lively was not given a gag order. This story has only gotten more intense. The legal teams for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni had shown up for what many thought would be a routine pretrial hearing. Rather, it became evident that this disagreement was anything but routine. Observers were taken aback when a gag order that was expected to be implemented quietly was quickly rejected. The tension in the room immediately increased, with some speculating that Blake's lawyers had come with an entirely different strategy. What was even more shocking was learning that Blake's team had set a deadline, which would put them on the offensive instead of playing defense. Nobody knew exactly what that meant, but the mere rumor of an impending legal bombshell sparked a wave of rumors, each more shocking than the last, that by Valentine's Day they planned to launch a counterattack. Some reporters asserted that there was intense pressure from powerful allies behind the scenes as they attempted to extract more information from both parties. There were rumors that Blake's attorney was quietly collecting statements and requesting sworn testimony from people whose names are not yet on the official documents. Brian Fredman, Justin's lawyer, spoke to the media briefly in the interim and insisted that his client's innocence would be established eventually. Despite the chaotic atmosphere, it was clear that each side was more concerned with influencing public opinion than with actually settling the case. The drama capturing everyone's attention was unquestionably powerful, but it was unclear if this tactic would benefit or harm them. The depth of this conflict and the other people it might ensnare by the end of the hearing were the subject of intense speculation. One thing was certain, this legal battle was just getting started, and its ramifications might go well beyond the boundaries of the courthouse. However, that merely marked the beginning of a story that was seemingly about to explode. Everyone was particularly drawn to some scathing remarks that seemed to be made about individuals who had previously been referred to as trusted allies. Specifically, one thread demonstrated how a cordial discussion about script changes swiftly descended into accusations and discussions of covert sabotage. These documents indicated that although the parties had previously put up a united front, the cracks may have developed long ago. Whether this was a deliberate attempt to disparage other players or a genuine attempt to clear Justin's name was unclear to onlookers. In any case, it made anyone watching the narrative question how much of Hollywood's glitzy facade was just a tactical move. The site's footer concluded with a mysterious remark that more uploads, possibly even more damning, would be made public in the upcoming weeks. The entire scenario resembled a high-stakes game of chess, with every move carefully thought out to surprise opponents. However, those who believed the timeline was the biggest surprise had not yet heard of Ryan Reynolds' shocking change of heart. Ryan was once thought to be Justin's friend and associate. Photographed at charity events, fundraisers, and behind-the-scenes get-togethers in the early days of their relationship, the two frequently exchanged kind words in interviews. Ryan once called Justin a fantastic team player and praised his commitment to each project he worked on. The sincere smiles they shared in public at the time made that glowing review seem sincere, but when their private messages from a few months later surfaced, the facade fell apart. Ryan allegedly even called Justin a deranged predator in these texts, a label that was a radical departure from Ryan's previous tone, shocking fans who believed the two men had a mutual respect. People asked, what changed? Right away. Did Ryan gain new knowledge, or was he forced to change his viewpoint? Personal conflicts over creative control and accusations that overshadowed the last stages of production were among the many theories. Some conspiracy theorizing bystanders even asserted that these abrupt reversals were a deliberate tactic, possibly planned by a rival group attempting to sow discord between well-known figures. Blake became a fiercely protective person during the legal tumult, not only of her own reputation, but also of her closest friends, especially Taylor Swift. Blake was reportedly looking for a special protective order to keep the dragnet of discovery from trapping uninvited parties. This move suggested that prominent people who may have texted, emailed, or otherwise disclosed sensitive information at some point might be drawn in by the impending legal fray. Naturally, the public's attention was piqued as soon as Taylor Swift was mentioned. Celebrity watchers wanted to know if the pop star was involved in this drama without even being aware of it. Blake was obviously willing to fight to the death in court, particularly if it meant keeping her private life out of the public eye. Given how heated the conflict was, many questioned whether this precautionary measure would be sufficient or if it would only indicate a willingness to escalate further. It seemed to those who were keeping up with the daily disclosures that a fuse had been lit and that the spark was getting closer to a powder keg. Soon after, a detail regarding the intimacy coordinator highlighted the potential depth of these problems. Although it may seem like a formality behind the scenes, having an intimacy coordinator on set frequently entails extra caution when filming delicate scenes. Although the purpose of this position is to safeguard actors and uphold a secure atmosphere, there are conjectures that it may also turn into a hotspot for arguments concerning creative direction, individual limits, and accountability in the event of an incident. The coordinator in this instance reportedly called an important meeting, which a large number of cast members attended eagerly to go over potential pitfalls and make sure everyone was at ease. Blake was noticeably absent, though, and some dismissed this as personal preference or scheduling conflicts. This supported theories that the entire controversy was largely influenced by some unsaid issues, possibly awkward encounters or brewing resentments. Production critics cited these hush-hush moments as proof that more serious scandals could be lurking beneath the glossy exterior of Hollywood public relations statements. Blake was already familiar with on-set protocols, according to those defending her, so she didn't require a refresher course. The discussion had now developed into a multi-layered narrative that included not only the stars, but also the lesser-known crew members who were being questioned about every little detail. Nobody could have predicted that the numerous cast and crew members' testimonies would soon heighten the intrigue even further, from the language of their NDAs to the duration of each private meeting. It's interesting that up until recently, a number of influential people had united behind Justin Baldoni. One testimonial was provided by Brandon Sinar, who worked closely with Justin and openly praised him for being incredibly kind and cooperative. According to these reports, there was no conflict on set. Everyone got along well, cast morale was high, and the atmosphere seemed encouraging. In stark contrast to the scathing accusations discovered in text messages that were later circulated online, these statements presented harmony in a positive light. The same people who had praised Justin in interviews seemed to be worried or openly distrustful behind closed doors in those messages. Some said they were under pressure to look good in public because they were afraid of the consequences if they didn't follow the rules. These inconsistencies compelled observers to consider the possibility that many Hollywood figures maintained two distinct narratives: a friendly public persona for the media and fans, and a more vulnerable, unvarnished reality among insiders. Additionally, Blake herself had been commended for her hospitable demeanor and ability to put others at ease. Crew members recalled times when she raised spirits by hosting informal get-togethers or bringing in small gifts. The knowledge that she was now leading a vigorous legal challenge and likely getting ready to release documents that might cast several people in a bad light, however, contrasted with these heartwarming tales. Fans' curiosity grew as they discovered more. Had there once been true goodwill, or were these showbiz compliments just meaningless platitudes meant for self-preservation, only to have their trust eroded by unreported events? It became evident that this situation was not straightforward, as observers put together reports from all angles. Previously laughing together on talk shows, people were now communicating through lawyers and well-crafted statements. A single document leak or a few revealing text messages could destroy relationships and reputations. And, as if the personal stakes weren't high enough, many started to realize that what was happening here could have a much bigger impact on how Hollywood handles internal disputes in the future. With each new revelation, the drama went far beyond typical celebrity gossip. No one, no matter how well-known or apparently unrelated, was completely safe from being dragged into the conflict, as demonstrated by Blake's request for a protective order for third parties like Taylor Swift. As the case approached its Valentine's Day deadline, observers became obsessed with it. Many conjectured that after Blake's team submitted their counterattack, the door would open for even more text exchanges, insider information, and potentially explosive depositions. Could unreleased emails or censored video footage be made public? If so, how might that change how the public views the producers and actors at the center of this controversy? With the correct PR plan, well-known celebrities like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively can usually diffuse most scandals. But in this case, it seemed as though even they might be at risk of irreparable harm. The larger question was what would happen in the long run. Was it worth it for studios to hire people involved in a public legal battle? If fans, detractors, and bystanders scrambled to stay up to date with every new leak, and the final revelations were too inflammatory, would fan loyalty crack? There is no doubt that this storm is far from over. According to Justin Baldoni's position, which is demonstrated by the extensive documents and the painstakingly detailed website, he thinks he has the truth on his side. The sudden change in tone from Ryan Reynolds' praise of a collaborator to his denunciation of an alleged enemy suggests a great deal of friction that may have been rising for some time. Blake Lively, for her part, has shown that she isn't scared to defend her friends, her brand, and probably herself. Confusion regarding sincerity and authenticity among all those glowing cast testimonials, which now seem sharply at odds with the private tensions revealed behind the scenes, is layered on top of the decision to drop a bombshell motion in the middle of a highly publicized legal battle. A picture of Hollywood as a place full of secrets, alliances, and hidden conflicts is painted by every aspect of this situation, including the sour public endorsements, the alleged events that read like an espionage thriller called Coalesces, and the protective orders sought for well-known pop stars. Is it possible for any of these relationships to ever revert to their previous state? That is the question that remains. Maybe everyone in the spotlight should take note of this now that so much harmful content has surfaced. There isn't much space for concealment in the digital age, and partnerships formed in front of cameras can fall apart almost instantly if suspicion grows. One lesson to be learned from these turbulent events is that, in situations like these, where there are numerous variables still at play, safety cannot be ensured by fame or wealth. Everything we believe to be true could be completely upended by the upcoming final chapters of this saga. The next revelation could be more shocking than anything we've seen thus far, and Valentine's Day is quickly approaching. As the narrative progresses, there's always more to learn. Thank you for logging in. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons to ensure that you are notified as soon as any new secrets are revealed.